faced with the reality that my children will inherit Nigeria as it is for.
Well, let's hope that we will bequeath a greater Nigeria, which is our hope and desire. For which reason I would then ask you. I agree with you that just like Chinua Achebe has said, that the problem in Nigeria is actually leadership. But I wanted to dig into that a little bit deeper. So what is the core problem with leadership? Is it that the leaders, most of the leadership, or a lot of the leadership are corrupt? Or is it that they are not competent? In your own view, what is the main problem with leadership? Because there are quite a number of things that everyone can say. What would be your own view?
We have a leadership, a political class. I don't like calling them elites. I'm not sure we really have political elites in our country, because the elites have a sense of self-awareness, right? A sense of legacy. We don't have elites in our country politically. The main leadership crisis in our country is that those who are politicians, those who hold the rings of power, they are fatalistic in their thinking, they are fatalistic in their approach to governance. And when I say fatalistic, is that they operate from a mindset that, I don't want to be salacious, but they perceive Nigeria as that popular or notorious village prostitutes that every person in the community wants to have a chance with. So they basically look at Abuja as a place that they are coming to take a bite, at the national purse. That is what the Nigeria is about for them. Most of our politicians have mentally seceded from Nigeria, including President Tinubu, I dare say. They have seceded from Nigeria. So when they say they are against IPOB, that IPOB is asking for secession, that they don't want secession, they don't want the Yoruba movement agitators, to ask for secession. Those who are holding power in our country, they have seceded. And what I mean by secession is that in their mind, they feel entrapped in Nigeria. That is why when they are sick, they go abroad for treatment. They send their children abroad. They acquire all their assets abroad. They are basically left in Nigeria. But their physical body is just in Nigeria for the purpose of illicit accumulation of wealth.
Wow.
This speaks to acute lack of patriotism. And that is simply it. They are not patriotic. They don't believe in the country. That is why no matter how we go about this, no matter all the efforts they are claiming to be making, they still continue to fail because they simply do not love Nigeria. They don't believe in our country. So corruption, yes, is part of the problem. But the question is, why are they corrupt? Are they corrupt because they are not comfortable? Are you not? See, EFCC coming out to say that some people were able to acquire about 753 duplexes. A few people. In a country that people are living in slums under the bridge, in a country that people cannot feed. So the problem is not that these are people that, it is a product of a diseased mind. Many of our politicians. It has become pathological for them, a sickness.
Is it not in the interest of the political class, if they want to preserve themselves, to find a reasonable way to draw the country back from a precipice? I mean, that seems to me a commonsensical approach. Because if indeed the country is heading for a precipice, if it's not withdrawn, all of us, even including you, anybody that dressed, in a way they say this is, we are at a risk. So is it not in the interest of the political class? Is it not in the interest of all of us who have a little bit of success in life, a little bit of exposure, to try and figure out how to, prevent what could be a catastrophe?
I told you earlier, Mr. Konde, I said our political class is fatalistic. They are fatalistic. They are people that are willing to die than to see the country change. Because mentally, you need to understand the psychology of those in power. They have seceded from the country. And I also told you that we don't have elites, political elites. Yes, in the US, there are issues with corruption. There are issues with, corporate interests, funding elections. They have their own problems. In the UK, there is no country. Look at even South Korea today that is facing political crisis. There is no country that is insulated. from political crisis. But what saves those countries, what makes them civilized, is that within the elites, they understand that this entity must be preserved for our own collective interest. But in Nigeria, those that are the commanding heights of political power and economic power, they don't simply believe that Nigeria is capable of functioning. That is why every opportunity that they have, they acquire assets abroad.
Well, a lot of them still, I see your point, but a lot of them still live here. They have houses here, you know. So, in a sense, you're right that, you know, people go abroad, you know, especially for medical, but they also live here, you know. And what I'm trying to say is that I think they have significant interest, even let's say selfish, personal interest, to, in my view, try to figure out how do we even preserve this.
Well, that is the interest, is the interest of a factory worker. And this factory worker, in this sense, unfortunately, is not one that is producing or manufacturing for the benefit of the larger consumers. It is one that is producing for self-enrichment. You know, it is like, for them, Nigeria is just an enterprise. That is what it is about. Because how do you explain what is happening in our country? That, leave the president, leave the National Assembly aside, Mr. Kony. Look at our governors. I keep saying, governors in Nigeria are worse than the president.
I believe so, many of them.
Most of our governors are more corrupt than the president. At the national level, you can have some pretension of dissent, of opposition. You can have, like, I mean, we have in the National Assembly today, even within lawmakers on the platform of the APC, opposing the tax reform bill. You cannot have that at the state level. None. There is none of the 36 states. Not Zamfara, not Lagos, not Akwa Ibom, not anywhere. There is no state in Nigeria today. Not Abia, not in one state.
Yeah, possibly. There are places where you have quite a bit of press awareness and a lot of contending interest, like Lagos.
I'm saying that, go and check.
I'm saying that.
Even go and check.
I don't disagree with you.
There is no single state in Nigeria today where a governor can be checkmated. Not even one.
What about Lagos?
Who is checkmating Sanwo-Olu? When they are fighting, it is about sharing of allocation. It is about resource distribution within themselves.
We've seen quite a few, you know, issues between the speaker. I'm
saying that those issues are not issues of checkmating him, for example, to determine whether the resources of Lagos is being properly managed. Go and look at the things they are fighting about. I mean, these people are simply running the country down. And you know my fear.
Right.
The clock is ticking. They are not aware. They are not seeing their handwriting.
And that's the point I was making to you. But you said that they are prepared to die.
I'm saying that the clock is ticking. And I'm afraid that one day it will be too late. Because some of us are raising alarm. Some of us are crying in the wilderness. They are not interested in listening to you. The country is struggling. The country is in recession. Look at the inflation. The governments are still acquiring vehicles. Governments are still spending billions on frivolous things. And when they are doing this thing, it is non-partisan. It doesn't matter whether the governor is PDP or APC. They are all doing the same thing. Look at our legislators. Even the judiciary. Some section of the judiciary. We have a problem that is so huge. And I am sad that there is no sense of urgency, that things are bad. Yeah,
Mr. Effiong, you know, just because of our time, I wanted us to talk about, you know, the judiciary. You know, you are a lawyer. I wanted you to talk about what kind of reforms, you know, do you think are priority in the judiciary? You know, but before we get there, I wanted your comment on what is happening right now in Ekiti State.
Yes.
We have a situation where the police received a petition, you know, from a senior lawyer, you know, legal luminary, Chief Afeba Balola, SAN.
Yes.
And then on the basis of that, you know, went cross-border from Ekiti to come and pick Dele Farotimi in Lagos.
Yes.
Taken straight to Ekiti, next day presented before a magistrate court, and is now remanded, denied bail for issue of libel. And now he's being tried for criminal defamation. What's your take, first of all, on this?
First, the so-called offense of criminal defamation is not a serious offense.
What do you mean it's not a serious offense?
I mean, even if, assuming you were to be convicted, it's not an offense that you will spend years in prison.
Okay.
Yes.
1 year?
Maybe 2. So it's not like a serious felony that you will spend 17 years. So it's not even something that people should be so terrified about. But I, in principle, have always been opposed to criminalization of defamation. Now, my concern is that it looks like those who are going after Dele Farotimi are determined to vindicate him. Because if a man is coming out to speak in a very acerbic language about the institution that is a member, the judiciary,
Right.
I would have thought, common sense detects that if somebody is criticizing or antagonizing the judiciary and is not subjected to the same judiciary, that for the sake of preserving that institution should be self-aware that it's not only this person that is on trial, that the judiciary itself is on trial. So it should be mindful of the need to avoid anything that will give a semblance of impropriety. Because if somebody is accusing the judiciary of wrongdoing, and you are now abusing the same judicial process just to prove a point, you are saying the person is right. Now, I'm not surprised that the police will do what they did. The police in Nigeria is incapable of reform. And I've always said, it's incapable of reform.
Wow.
The police is not reformable. I say that without apology. And I can give you reasons. To begin with, we just had the Police Act 2020 passed a few years ago. So that nobody will say, oh, the problem is legislation.
Yeah.
Because we used to have Cap P9, Laws of the Federation 2004, which was repealed. And we had a new Police Act in 2020.
Yeah.
If you read the new Police Act, it is to a large extent a fantastic piece of legislation.
Very true. I have.
The reforms in that new act, in fact, under the new Police Act, if you are arrested as a suspect and taken to any police station in Nigeria, the new Police Act says that station should give you the facility, a phone, to call your lawyer and your family. So it says you cannot arrest someone in lieu. If you are looking for Mr. A, you go to his house, you cannot find him, do not arrest his wife.
Or his children.
It says police should not be used for debt recovery. Go and look at the objective of the new Police Act. It states explicitly that it is anchored on human rights. So the problem is not legislation. The problem is that you have an institution that is still operating, that is unable to shrink itself of its colonial history. The police that we have today is still embedded in the colonial apron that the British handed over when they brought.
But Mr. Effiong, the way I see it is that, with a lot of responsibility, I think the police itself has become a victim of the political powers in our country. Because if an ordinary person were to send a petition to the police, yes, they wouldn't act the way they acted on the petition.
They will if the money is paid.
If the money is
It's about money.
It's about money.
The police in Nigeria has been privatized.
Or power and influence.
Yes.
But the point that I wanted you to also address is that is it the right thing to do? First of all, arrest him in the manner that he was arrested, and then transferred to Ekiti.
Brazen act of illegality.
And why are we having a criminal defamation instead of a civil suit?
It's brazen act of illegality.
On the part of?
The police. We have what I call the principle of interstate arrest under the law. And this principle is both administrative and judicial. Administratively, under the police regulations, if police is moving from one state to effect an arrest in another state, when they arrive in that state, before they can effect that arrest, they're required to incident that matter in the state they want to effect the arrest.
Okay.
So if police is going from Oyo State, right, to Abia State, to effect arrest of a suspect, when they get to Abia State, they must go to the Abia State Police Command make an entry
Right.
that we are coming to effect the arrest of so and so person. That is even internally
Okay.
the procedure within the police. This was not done. We are aware.
How do we know that?
We are aware. We've confirmed that the Lagos State Police Command and even the Zone 2 in Lagos were not carried along.
Oh, wow.
They just simply came straight to his office, took him and drove him straight to Ekiti.
Oh, wow.
Yes. That's what we are
it's also in breach of police regulations.
Yes, but more fundamentally, the provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 is clear that if they are coming to effect arrest on the basis of a warrant, because they claim, or they were being told that they got a warrant of arrest, for you to effect that warrant, you must take the person before a magistrate in the state of arrest.
Oh, I see.
Yes, they should have taken Dele Farotimi before a magistrate in Lagos
I see.
to examine the warrant, the order for his arrest, see whether it is lawful, see whether it is regular, and guess what? Under the Act, the ACJ, the magistrate in Lagos even has the power to admit him to bail. He has the power to stop that warrant from being executed.
Oh,
this was not done.
This is interesting. I didn't even know this.
That is the law. This was not done. And what are they talking about? The man, Chief Afe Babalola SN. I mean, some of us grew up,
Yeah.
got into the university to read law, went to law school, called to the Nigerian bar. The name Afe Babalola is like an institution in the legal, it's an institution
It
in
is.
the legal profession.
It is.
To his credit, you can't take it away from him.
Absolutely.
I don't know if there's a lawyer today that is older than him or a senior advocate. I mean, he's a father of senior advocates. So I would have thought, and I say this with all sense of responsibility and humility, that at that age, I'm concerned, and I hope someone is listening to me. And I hope Chief himself will have the opportunity to watch this interview. Because I hope that he's mindful of a sense of history and legacy. I don't want this to define him. This case should not be his legacy. If I get to the age of 80, if God preserves my life, and I get to the age of 80 and 85, I'll be circumspect. It is not every offense that I'll use a sledgehammer, that I will invoke I will not go and invoke institutions of state at the age of 80. No matter how offensive what Dele Farotimi said was, for a lawyer of his standing, for somebody of the status of Chief Afe Babalola, at that age, someone that owns a university with a faculty of law.
It's a very good one. Right?
One of the best in the country.
Yeah.
Why would you, at that level at that stage of your life, entangle yourself in this kind of embarrassment? Look at what Femi Falana did when the VDM, as they call him, defend him. What did he do?
Exactly. He went to court.
Femi Falana.
And the civil.
He filed a civil suit. He did not go to the police. And that is supposed to be the provision. So this idea that, you can use the police to prove a point. Have you proved what is the point that has been proven now?
I mean, to your point, Mr. Effiong, I have also served in the presidency for 8 years. And there are a number of times, that I could observe president, vice president, governors who were libeled.
Yes.
And I don't remember even, I'm talking about president, vice president, governors, I don't remember any of them even try to use a criminal defamation. For the most part, many of them, and they even have, they seem to have the powers. So I'm also taken aback by this criminalization of what ought to be a civil case. I mean, and I'm confused. It is why I ask you the question.
The truth of the matter is that, because I hear some lawyers say, criminal defamation is an offense in some states. The truth of the matter is that if the so-called offense of criminal defamation that they are talking about were to be activated, if everybody that is defamed were to follow the path of Chief Afe Babalola, all police stations in Nigeria will be filled up in 24 hours.
Absolutely.
Because all you simply need to do is to check what is happening on Twitter. I, as a person, I I am defamed on a daily basis on the internet.
Exactly.
So that means that if 10 people defame me in a day, I should have the 10 of them arrested. Chief Alfred Babalola could have just simply taken the honorable part. And it is not too late, Chief. It is not too late. Think about legacy. Don't listen to those that are cheering you on. Yeah. This is not going to end well because the way it is going, there is now a perception. And you are taking him to Ekiti. If I'm not mistaken, Alfred Babalola is richer than Ekiti State. I believe so. I genuinely believe he's richer than Ekiti State.
I believe so.
So, what justice is Dele Farotimi going to get? Which first trial will he get? And then he was arraigned before a magistrate.
Yeah.
On a what offense? And application for bail was made. And the court said no. Go and put it in writing in a magistrate court. And you remand him for 1 week. A lawyer, a minister in the Temple of Justice. You say go and bring your application in writing in a court of summary jurisdiction and inferior court of record. So you are already giving the impression from the manner you have arrested him illegally, drove him for hours to Lagos, you assaulted staff in his office, seized funds of lawyers, created panic all over the place. So his rights have been violated from the point of arrest to this moment. So what are we talking about? If you want to seek redress, if you are saying someone has offended you, you don't need to weaponize and abuse institutions to pursue or ventilate your grievance.
Thank you so much, Ibe. I mean, just to add as we conclude, I mean, what I think is happening is that, yes, of course, Dele Farotimi made allegations which ought to be tested in court. I hope he's prepared. But it would seem to me, Ibe, that he's already being punished for the so-called allegations even before the court can hear the matter. It seems the man is being punished already.
In fact, in the petition of Chief Alfred Babalola that has been published, in his petition to the police, the concluding paragraph, he asked the police to confiscate copies of the books. What is the business of the police with that?
Does the police have such...
They don't! They don't!
All right.
So I am saying that we need to be careful. Because this institution called the police, every single day, before I came here this morning, I was reading a publication on Daily Trust where the IG is saying that the judiciary is sick and weak. The same police that has made the judiciary sick and weak. The same IG whose institution is not obeying court orders, is detaining Nigerians illegally. The police is the major culprit of the bastardization of our judicial process, the bastardization of our correctional service. So we need to be careful the points to which we want to destroy this institution.
Okay, last point, last question because of our time, and I wanted you to address it to the president. In terms of judiciary reforms, what will you say to the president ought to happen if you had to give him an advice? And then generally, state of the nation, what word do you have, what counsel do you have for the president?
I'm not optimistic about Tinubu's regime or Tinubu's presidency. I don't have any shred of hope that this president will change Nigeria. And whoever is having that hope is sleeping. When they wake up, they should tell us. This Tinubu...
Not everybody.
No, I'm being honest. This Tinubu will not change Nigeria. By 2027, we will still be talking about these issues. He's talking about tax reform. And I said, is Tinubu a reform-centric president? Why the obsession? Why is it only tax? Why not judicial reform? Why not police reform?
That's why.
Why not electoral reform?
That's why I said that. What counsel do you have to him? Because
I don't have. You want me to advise someone that is not interested in advice? This president, look, some of us have accepted the reality that all that we can do is to continue to speak.
But he did reform the judiciary in Lagos when he was governor. To his credit.
Well. I don't want us to get to the argument of what that reform was about. What I am telling you today is that if this president is truly interested in reform, you know where he will start? NNPC. But I just hope that maybe someday, some shred of miracle, because only a miracle can make Tinubu change Nigeria. Because the structure that brought him to power, the forces that he's loyal to, the interest that is sustaining him in that office, would not allow him to bring reforms. And his body language does not show somebody that understands the urgency. The judiciary has to be the institution that will reform itself. The current Chief Justice of Nigeria had the golden opportunity. A golden opportunity. Because we once had the first female Chief CJN, Honorable Justice Mary Amokta. we speak glowingly about her
Wow.
today. And look, she's so respected. So I am just praying that and believing that my Lord will follow that path and begin to take measures. Mr. Konde, you go to some courts, not all judges, the judges that are giving the judiciary a bad name, they will be the one to taunt to go to NJC. So we need to reform the NJC. I have had a judge, I mean, you know my own experience with the judiciary.
Yeah,
I'm talking to you, yes, in Akwa Ibom. I'm talking to you today as a victim of the Nigerian judicial system.
Yeah.
I was sent to prison for a month without being told what I had done. All the things you were hearing about contempt of court, those things were just fairy tales. They never happened.
Do you think some of the things that Dele Fayotimi wrote about the judiciary, some of it has a bit of life?
I have experienced the judicial malfunction. I'm a victim of the weaponization of the judicial process. So I'm not, I may not have written, okay, let me say this. So the day I will now write my own book about my experience in Akwa Ibom, that means they will use the military to arrest me. Yes, because one day I believe that history has a responsibility to hear from me. There are things that happen that I've never said publicly.
Wow.
That I've never said on TV. The day people will hear it, they will be shocked. So I hope that the Chief Judge of Ekiti and the entire Ekiti State Judiciary is mindful that the eyes of the nation are upon them. The whole world is watching.
The world, yeah.